All right, good afternoon, everybody. I have the privilege of being your facilitator for this particular unit. My name is Ellen Zwarnstein, and I direct the Michigan Center for Civic Education, which oversees our state's We the People program. Your judges are here, and they are excited and eager to listen to your hearing. They will introduce themselves. They will ask you to introduce yourselves, and then we will begin the hearing. And at designated times, hopefully you'll see time cards being put up here in this particular window. So without further ado, judges, turn it over to you for your introductions.
Hello, I will be the chief judge for this panel. My name is Hank Chambers. I'm a law professor here at the University of Richmond. I've been doing We the People stuff for about 2 decades, maybe closer to a quarter of a century. So it's good to see you all, and I'm sure we will have a good, productive conversation this afternoon. Other judges?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Barry Anderson. I'm a justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court. I'm a senior justice on the court, which only means I've hung around for a very long period of time. Long connection with this program, judged often at the national competition level. But I should say that I also had the privilege of serving as an assistant coach many, many years ago. So I have some idea of the stress and effort and all that you've gone through. And also now you're preparing to answer off the wall questions from judges. I get that too. So in any event, we're going to have a great conversation today, and I'm looking forward to it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ann Zinkin. I'm a career law clerk at the New Hampshire Supreme Court. Been here for about 21 years. Before that, I litigated employment cases in San Francisco. And I have been judging at the state level for somewhere between 5 and 10 years. This is my first time at nationals, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Fabulous. So please tell us where you're from, who you are, and where you're from.
I'm McKenna Brown, a junior at Clay County High School.
I'm Matt Sheldon, also a junior at Clay County High School.
I'm Stephanie Naylor, and I'm also a junior at Clay County High School, and our teacher is Philip Dobbins, and our coach is Mike Mullins.
That's fabulous. Thank you all very much. So we're going to do Unit 4, Question 2. I'll read the question, and then we will hear your opening. Members of Congress are not only legislators, but they are also inquisitorial and should meet frequently to inspect the conduct of the public officers. How effectively do you believe Congress has used its investigatory power? Explain the differences, if any, between Congress's power to investigate and the power of oversight. Which power, in your opinion, is more significant? How effectively do you believe Congress has used its oversight powers? We're ready for your opening statement.
One of the many implied powers in our government, the investigatory power is important in maintaining a transparent democracy. With this power, Congress can form a variety of committees that investigate certain issues. In 1973, the Select Committee on Presidential Campaign Activities, otherwise known as the Watergate Committee, was formed due to the Watergate scandal. The men on this committee used this congressional power to prosecute Nixon's aides during the trial. Though they were disbanded after they sent in their last report. It is the opinion of this panel that Congress does a respectable job of using their investigatory powers, whether it be for impeachment trials or court cases, like in United States versus Rumley in 1953.
The congressional oversight power encompasses the monitoring, supervision, and review of federal agencies, federal programs, activities, and the implementation of policy. The power of oversight is exercised mostly through the system of congressional committees, but is also a factor that occurs in a multitude of other congressional activities and contexts. Congress has failed to use their full power of oversight over the course of history because of the trend of expansionist executive branches. The most powerful authority provided by the oversight power is the budget control allowed by the power of the purse. Oversight power is necessary because the legislative branch needs to be able to improve the efficiency of the operations of the government and to ensure that the executive branch complies with their orders. Congress's investigation power is used to gather information for future legislation, inquire about and test the effectiveness and qualifications of previously passed laws and the performance of government officials.
In contrast to the oversight power, the investigative power is rarely used to lay the groundwork for the proceedings of an impeachment trial. A likeliness that the two powers share is that they are both normally delegated and used through the committee system. The investigative power also includes the media and is very publicized, which makes it a very important tool to inform the American citizens and arouse public interest in national issues. Even though Congress's power of the purse is very important and influences many functions in the national economy and political climate, it is the opinion of this panel that the investigative power is more significant because it involves and informs the public and tests previously passed legislation for relevancy, as well as gathering the proper data and information to make good legislative decisions for the future of our country.
It is the opinion of this panel that Congress uses their oversight powers effectively. Congressional oversight can help all levels of government function better. If they know Congress will question their work, officials are likely to be careful. The oversight power is necessary because it ensures executive compliance with legislative intent, improves the efficiency of government operations, evaluates program performance, and investigates poor administration or dishonesty.
Thank you
For
so
one
much.
thing, it would be less
Oh, sorry.
effective as a legislative body deprived of the tools necessary to determine what its legislative priorities should be and how it can legislate most effectively. Hearings are held for a wide range of topics like emergency healthcare for veterans, abuse at nursing facilities, and the impacts of trade policies on the U.S. economy. In some cases, Congress is seeking information that will help it decide whether to pass new legislation. In others, it is trying to find how legislation already passed is being implemented. Both are legitimate purposes and demonstrate how Congress uses their power effectively and why oversight is necessary.
COVID-19 relief bills, the 2021 Capitol riot, and climate change should all be investigated using the investigatory power. After more than a year of struggling with COVID-19, unemployment has plummeted, causing many people to apply for help. This panel believes that these topics should be investigated by Congress along with many others.
All right, thank you. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate that. When exercising oversight, how easily does the Congress step into the executive's role, right, in terms of supervising possibly agencies and executive departments? Or I'll ask it a little differently. It sounds like you all want oversight to be used to supervise executive departments and agencies. Is that the role that oversight is supposed to play?
I think it is supposed to play that role because, well, maybe not.
Don't worry, just give us what you're thinking. It's okay, just give us what you're thinking.
Even before Congress existed, James Madison saw that it would be important for legislators to double as investigators to investigate certain issues, in part to keep the president and the executive branch both honest and working with their job.
Okay.
I noticed that in your statement, you talked about one of the powers of control here, for oversight and investigation is budget control, the power of the purse, so to speak. Can you give me some examples of what that might look like in terms of how it applies to your statement? What would be some examples of use of power of the purse by the legislature?
The power of the purse was used in Vietnam. Congress stopped all funding and everything to the troops in Vietnam, so it effectively stopped the Vietnam War.
One of the most well-known examples is regarding the drinking age, where Congress passed a law to withhold 10% of federal funds for highways to a state that didn't raise the drinking age to 21.
Do you think that was a good use of oversight and investigation and budget control?
Vietnam or the other one?
Either one.
I think using it for Vietnam was a good idea because we were just not winning that war at all, really. We were over there and our troops were dying, and to completely stop it with budgeting and funding it, I think that was a really good idea.
I'm wondering, you mentioned in your opening statement about the media and the role that the media plays in keeping our government officials accountable. And I'm wondering if there's a problem, though, in having all of these committee hearings and investigations televised. I'm borrowing from something Judge Anderson has talked about, meaning that there's times that it seems that it's causing people to sort of showboat and it's become more performative. So I'm just wondering sort of whether you think on balance it's better to have these things televised or not.
I think it's good to have them televised because that's essentially a way for people to get information. And it can be, well, if you watch major news sources like CNN or Fox News, it can be biased and it can be twisted a little bit. So if you go with like straight off their like live video or whatever they do, or your local news stations, I think it can be a really helpful tool to the American people.
Is it possible that we have too much, or is it possible for Congress to do too much investigative work? And if so, what should Congress focus on?
Well, I think for one that if they think it needs to be investigated, investigate it, because we never know how things could lead up. Like it may not be a, what's the word? A danger, maybe to say, but it can affect the lives of the American people. That's what I'm trying to get across. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be a danger to be investigated. But I think if it has a potential to be dangerous, then investigate it. But if it turns out blank and like it leads to nothing, I think that's fine too. So yeah.
I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, McKenna.
I personally think that the new COVID bills need more oversight, specifically like unemployment, because in the last 13 months that we've been dealing with COVID, $68 billion has been paid out improperly through like fraud or errors since last March. And many people are just seizing the opportunity created by the pandemic to make false claims using stolen information.
That raises a real good question. How much of the investigation you're talking about should be done by the Department of Justice or by law enforcement as opposed to by Congress? Any thoughts on that?
I think with certain issues, it just depends. Like if it would be better handled by the Department of Justice, then it should be handled there. Or Congress, the House, I think it's the House that controls money. So with maybe money issues, it should go to Congress. But if it has to deal with something with justice, it should go to the Justice Department.
I say it's Congress's powers, so I think it should be their decision to delegate it wherever they wish if they think it could be better handled by the Justice Department instead of their own officials.
Okay, should the executive have anything to say about whether it's handled through the executive branch or through the legislature?
I don't believe that the executive branch should have anything to do with that oversight or investigatory power, because it is Congress's power. The executive branch has nothing to do with it, and I think it should go that way.
Okay.
If you were assigned the job of making Congress a more effective oversight agency, or if you were going to make Congress more effective at oversight, what reforms would you suggest? Are there specific ways in which we could make Congress more effective at looking at whether or not an agency is working effectively?
I think maybe forming more committees maybe to really focus in on whatever that is. And I think they do take a vote on issues anyway, so.
Oh, we're out of time.
That is our time. So thank y'all very much. Judges, any thoughts? Well, I should say judges, what are your thoughts?
Yes, we always have thoughts. Sometimes they're even helpful. So yeah, I'll just, I enjoyed the conversation. This is a great opportunity to spend some time visiting about important issues. And you obviously worked very hard. Just a couple things that I picked up that I thought were really interesting. One of you made the comment about, something on the order of $68 billion in fraudulent payments made on the COVID relief bill. That is exactly the kind of thing that Congress, from an oversight standpoint, should be looking at. California has a COVID relief fraud problem with its unemployment system that runs into maybe $100 billion or more. It's a very expensive problem, and this is exactly where the founders had in mind Congress would provide some oversight. So I thought that was really well done. I enjoyed your statement, your reference to the Watergate Committee. I think most scholars of the investigative and oversight approaches of Congress would say that was a very, there are some partisan observations about it, but that was a very effective and bipartisan effort. So I enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for participating.
I also enjoyed the conversation, and I thank you a lot. I thought your opening statement was solid. I thought you did a good job of giving us some current examples to illustrate what you're talking about. I think that we were probing you pretty hard, and I think this is a hard topic. I think that the question is kind of amorphous, so I think it's kind of hard to kind of get your hands around it, and y'all clearly showed that you've been working really hard at this. So I appreciated the conversation, and thanks, and I wish you a lot of luck.
Absolutely, I agree. The question is a hard one. The distinction between investigation and oversight is not clear. So you all had to add to that to get to any distinctions between them. But I think y'all did a solid job of doing so. A couple things I want to just note for you all. I thought the example of the drinking age was an interesting one. It's a little bit different than sort of pure budget control. It's about the spending clause, but the application is an important one. Again, like the current examples, and I kept thinking, if you all were aides to Senator Manchin, and Senator Manchin said, should we have hearings on COVID? What would you tell them? And I'm sure y'all would tell them, yeah, you should have hearings on COVID. Be an interesting conversation. So good luck to y'all for the rest of the day, and good conversation. Y'all take care.
All right. Nice work.